The Vestal Virgins, who were under the direct authority of the Pontifex Maximus, were originally 4 in number, but increased to 6 because of the great amount of tasks they had to perform. They lived in the temple of the goddess Vesta, which all could enter in the daytime, but no man could enter during the night. It was very important that all the Vestals remained virgins for the 30 years they were in the service of the state, although they could marry after this time. The duties of the Vestal Virgins included offering sacrifices, keeping the wills of Roman citizens, and most importantly, tending the sacred flame of Vesta. During the first 10 years, the Vestals learned their function. During the second 10 years, they performed them, and during the final 10 years, they taught others. The Romans dreaded the extinction of the sacred fire, for it meant that the destruction of Rome was imminent. If the fire went out, it was immediately reintroduced with many added rituals. The extinction of the fire was also an indication that one of the Vestals was no longer a virgin. The violated Vestal was ceremoniously carried to the Colline Gate and buried alive. Her male partner was flogged to death. A girl chosen to be a Vestal Virgin must be between 6 and 10. Both her father and mother must be living. She must be neither hearing impaired nor with any mark or defect. Neither of her parents could be slaves or have demeaning occupations. When the girl was brought to the house of Vesta, she passes from her father's control to the control of the Pontifex Maximus and acquires the right to make a will. The specialized priests of individual gods were known as flamens, whose main function was to make sacrifices to their individual god. There were 15 flamens in all, 3 flamenes maiores and 12 flamenes minores. Of the 12 flamenes minores, we know the names of 6: Volturnalis, Palatulalis, Furinalis, Floralis, Flalasur, and Pomonalis. Of the 3 flamenes maiores, the flamens of Jupiter, Mars, and Quirinius, the flamens of Jupiter, or the flamen Dalius, was the most important. There were numerous restrictions on the flamen Dalius. Among them, he was not allowed to see the Roman citizens assembled in an army. Since he could not have a military career or battle experience, the flamen Dialis rarely was able to achieve the rank of consul. The flamen Dialis was also forbidden to take an oath, wear a ring, take fire from his home, have a slave cut his hair, go outside without a cap, or touch a she-goat, raw flesh, ivy, or beans. The flamen Dialis must be clothed at all times. If he changes his clothes, he must do it under covers, so that he is never naked before Jupiter. At state dinners, the flamen Dialis had the second highest place at the table. The only one above him was the Rex Sacrificulus. When Rome was ruled by kings, the kings performed most of the religious tasks. After the kings were expelled, the Rex Sacrificulus was created. The Rex Sacrificulus took on the sacral functions of the king. It is speculated by some that the Rex Sacrificulus was once the supreme authority in religious matters, and that the Pontifex Maximus was created to take power away from the Rex Sacrificulus by the anti-monarchical Romans. Called Rex for short, although the Rex Sacrificulus was subordinate to the Pontifex Maximus, he was still above all the Flamens. His wife, called Regina, also had certain ceremonial duties. The Rex must be a patrician, he was chosen for life, and he could hold no other posts. Decline. Saying that in the Roman Republic, religion and the state were inseparable is a novel idea to the modern American, but it was not unique to the time. What was unique about the Roman Republic was that the responsibility of the Roman citizen was non-existent. All the religious duties were taken care of by state officials. This ultimately resulted in many Romans searching elsewhere for spiritual fulfillment. For example, Caesar was elected as Pontifex Maximus over several other respectable men in spite of the fact that his private lifestyle was well known to be lacking in morals. Caesar had little interest in religious activities, but desired the respect that the position carried with it. And he needed the security. His enemies wouldn't dare kill the Pontifex Maximus. Religion at Rome was less a set of beliefs than a set of practices. Even when many Romans no longer bought into it or were apathetic about the state religion, it was fiercely protected. The Romans were never a really religious people. They lacked the imagination to be devout, but they were ritualists and formalists to the heart's core. The influence of religion declined towards the end of the Republic. The introduction of Cynicism in the 2nd century BC, as well as Greek learning, produced a great amount of skepticism in Rome towards the old ways. The changing population in the Roman Empire introduced many new religions and offered an alternative to disenchanted Romans. Yet, even with all this enlightened thought, Cicero, who was a cultivated, philosophic, and common sense man of the world, spent several days in January of 56 BC studying the Sibylline books with other senators to see if there was a quotation that would prevent a Roman army from entering Egypt. At the end of the Republic, religion also became a political tool between the two parties, the Optimates and the Populares. One example among many is in 59 BC, when Bibulus, an Optimate, tried to stop the land reforms of Julius Caesar by finding a prophecy in the Sibylline books which indicated an omen of great importance would appear. Bibulus demanded that all business be stopped so he could watch the sky in search of the sign. Caesar foiled him by calling for a vote in the Senate, and the vote was against Bibulus. Perhaps the feeling of the time is best summed up by Cowell's statement. Although Cicero and the men of his age had no real faith in the traditional religious beliefs of the Roman people, they had by no means proceeded to complete atheism or a clear affirmation that there were no gods. Conclusion. The Romans believed that the city of Rome was predestined by the gods, and that by serving Rome, they were serving the gods. This belief was advantageous to the government of Rome, and allowed them to keep the citizens submissive and obedient. Religion played a large part in the Roman Republic, as well as the history of Rome. The large amount of religious officials shows the importance the Romans placed on religion.